What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. So something that's appreciated but maybe not really discussed all that often are all the little cool and different Easter eggs in League of Legends. And Easter eggs are something that honestly add a lot of life to the game, even though we don't really have that much of an appreciation for them. And it's something that's just really cool to look at and see, and there's quite a few that maybe you missed, whether they're cool pop culture references or just awesome in-game events in general. And so today we're counting down our list of the top 10 coolest Easter eggs in the game. And as always, if you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button, and if you don't, the dislike button's right next to it, so feel free to hit that one too. Starting off our list, we've got a bunch of pretty neat little voice lines that we've kind of just grouped together as just one total Easter egg. Even though there's a lot of voice lines that exist throughout the game, here are some of our favorites. So first up, we've got Jax, who sometimes will say, "Here's to you, kid," which is actually a shout out to Joe, which was a kid who visited Riot for his Make-A-Wish as a part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. After the visit, the Jaximus skin was created in Joe's honor, and the voice line was added into the game in memoriam. Moving on, we also have a pretty cool voice line from Mecha Kha'Zix, who instead of just saying his regular jokes, says something a little bit more interesting.
"I have evolved beyond jokes. I am now a robot. Beep boop."
Next up is Janna, who actually has a really rare joke where she begins to say like the joke of her original voiceover before kind of stumbling over herself, and it's pretty cool, so just take a listen.
"Say hello to the winds of..." I don't know what came over me.
And Janna's not the only one with a joke like this though. Gangplank will also sometimes kind of laugh like the old Gangplank and then claim that he has something in his throat instead.
Had something in my throat.
For our number 9 spot, we're featuring a little bit of a cool interaction. So a lot of you guys probably know that when Nunu dies, both Nunu and Willump will drop a soul for Thresh, so Thresh can pick up 2 souls from a killed Nunu. However, Sejuani will only drop 1 soul, and that soul belongs to Bristle, her boar actually, because Sejuani's a ginger, and as we all know, gingers have no souls. Number 8 is something that was sadly removed from the game actually, but we kind of wanted to still include it because I just thought it was really cool, and it was called On the Prowl, and it was a hidden passive that Nidalee used to have. It granted her the power of a cougar and gave nearby allied champions 5 experience every 5 seconds if they had a lower level than Nidalee. It's not a ton of experience, so it wouldn't make that much of a difference, but Riot are pretty serious lately with their mechanics, so even little things like this ended up getting taken out of the game, which kind of is a bummer, but I guess it makes sense. Coming in at number 7 is a funny little one, which is a buff that Heimerdinger gets called Eureka. And the way that you actually get this buff as Heimerdinger, well, you have to get a pentakill. When you get a pentakill on Heimerdinger, he's saying Eureka because he managed to cure his opponents of their living status. What a friendly little scientist he is. At number 6, we've got the first of 2 Zyra Easter eggs on our list. You may or may not know this one because it's quite hard to notice, but both Zyra and her plants grow a little bit slightly when affected by Leona's passive. And her tree friend Maokai gains 1 movement speed when he's near Zyra. A little bit of an interesting interaction based on the sun and the plants. For number 5, we've got something that's a little bit of a rivalry, and it's one that's probably a little bit more famous as it revolves around Volibear and Zillion. This one's actually, pretty well known, but it's definitely cool enough to break into our top 5 because it features some Riot designers. So Volibear and Zillion both have one rival, each other. They literally just hate each other. So when Volibear kills Zillion, he gets an 11 gold bonus. And when Zillion kills Volibear, he gets a 10 gold bonus. You might be wondering, what the hell does this have to do with Riot designers? Well, Riot Zillius heavily opposed the idea of an armored bear champion on the forums before Volibear was actually released, so now Volibear and Zillion have this crazy rivalry as an Easter egg as a result of Zillius' forum posts. So at number 4 is home to the second Zyra Easter egg. So a lot of you guys might know about the strategy game Plants vs Zombies. Well, as a nod to the creators of that game, Riot decided to put a little bit of an Easter egg as a reference to Plants vs Zombies. So when Zyra and Sion or Karthus kill each other, they gain 2 bonus gold as a reference to the game. Now we're getting into Easter eggs that have a little bit more depth to them, and our number 3 Easter egg has got to go to Jinx and the Piltover champions. So whenever Jinx is on an opposing team to Caitlyn and or Vi, they each gain a debuff titled Catch Me If You Can. Jinx's debuff says, Kate and Vi are chasing you, how fun, along with the number of times she outsmarted the cops, which essentially just means the number of kills or assists that she personally has on Caitlyn and Vi. On the flip side, Caitlyn and Vi get a debuff that says, Jinx is causing chaos again, how obnoxious. So they get a counter reading criminals apprehended, followed by their number of kills and assists scored on the enemy Jinx. And since these in-game rivalries always tend to have a little bit of bonus gold attached to them, they kind of get a similar deal. So Jinx gets 1 bonus gold for each outsmarted cop, and Caitlyn and Vi gain 1 bonus gold for each criminal, well, Jinx, they apprehend. It's kind of a cool interaction that's in a game as a nod to the lore between the 3 champions. For number 2, we've got a pretty big scale event called the Battle for Freljord. In the lore, there are 3 Freljordian leaders, Ashe, Sejuani, and Lysandra. They all lead their own factions and are trying to be crowned as the queen of the Freljord. So to trigger this event, there has to be at least 1 Freljordian leader on each team out of those 3 champions. And the event can only trigger for 1 on each team, and it will only happen a random time in the game after both champions on both teams involved have participated in at least 20 takedowns, so whether they're kills, assists, or a mix of both. And once the event has triggered and one of the Freljordian leaders gets a kill or assist on the enemy leader, the victor will get an ice crown floating over their head and a buff called Queen of the Freljord. So this mini event actually has a ton of different interactions, including different buff names depending on the enemy leaders and different voice lines and all sorts of stuff. And it's actually a pretty cool interaction that goes a little bit underappreciated and I think is just awesome. And of course we're saving the best for last, and there's no Easter egg in the game that is cooler than The Hunt is On, the rivalry between 2 of League's most notorious stealth assassins, Kha'Zix and Rengar. And it's honestly the first and only time I believe an Easter egg has been able to make a significant difference in a game. So to kick it off, Kha'Zix and Rengar have to be on opposite teams, and then 3 conditions have to be met. Kha'Zix has to be fully evolved using all 3 evolution points, so he has to hit level 16. Rengar must also have 12 stacks on his bone tooth necklace, and both characters must also be alive. And at a random time after those conditions are met, the Hunt is On will trigger, and Kha'Zix and Rengar must score a kill or assist on the opponent. And if Rengar becomes the ultimate hunter and takes down Kha'Zix first, he claims a trophy that turns Bone Tooth Necklace into an item called the Head of Kha'Zix, which gives the perks of a fully stacked Bone Tooth Necklace, along with increased vision range when Rengar is in a brush. And if Kha'Zix wins the fight and becomes the ultimate predator, however, he devours Rengar, which gains him a 4th evolution point that allows him to evolve all 4 of his abilities, rather than just the usual limit of 3, which is potentially a way better deal than Rengar gets, but overall it's honestly just so cool to see something like that in the game, and it definitely makes for some really tense situations when these guys are on opposite teams, and it's really cool to see an Easter egg like that actually have an effect on the game, and I kind of wish Riot did more stuff like that, but this Easter egg might actually get taken out of the game in the upcoming Assassin update, so who knows, but it's a really awesome piece of flavor, and I'm always glad to see that kind of thing happen in a game that I'm playing. So that's going to wrap up our top 10 coolest Easter eggs in League of Legends, and if you guys have any favorites or maybe Easter eggs that you think we missed, definitely let us know in the comments below, and looks like that's going to be for me. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you didn't, the dislike button's right there next to it, so also subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.